Jump scare! Jump scare! Hello, everyone. Hello, gamers. How's it going? I have an Ariana on my head. Jump scare. Welcome to stream. There's a parasite on your head? No, she's not a parasite. That's my child. And you will refer to her as such. Dang it. Guys, heads up that this, I don't know if I'm streaming on Monday, so this may be the final stream reminder to get yourself an Ariana plushie. She is on my head currently, and she could be on yours. If you go forth and get yourself an Ariana from the link pinned at the top of the chat, as well as in the description of the video, because we are at 331 plushies sold, and I would love to get to 400, because full and open disclosure, if we get to 400 plushies sold, I get a pretty significant pay bump, and that would be very cool. Also, you know, the more Ariana plushies we sell, the more likely it is that we're gonna get plushies of other characters as well. So, all of you people who keep screaming about wanting a Frankie plush in my comments when I'm specifically promoting the Ariana plush, if Ariana plush doesn't sell very well, we're probably not gonna get a Frankie plush. You guys realize that, right? Like, I don't want to make it sound like blackmail, but you know, if you're on the fence about getting an Ariana plush, just understand that, like, if you really want a Frankie plushie, he's more likely to happen the more Ariana plushies we sell. Just saying. Just saying. Also, we're listening to Baldur's Gate soundtrack today because I feel like it. I feel like it. Hope you're doing well. I am! Hi, Ray! What's up? But yeah, so stream a couple days ago, we drew Besper, baby Besper, here she is. And then on Monday, we drew Cameron, emo baby. So today, for our third and final character for this video, we're drawing Snow Leopard Girl. So this is Senna, and we will be inking and drawing her today. And I think she'll probably not take quite as long as the other two characters, because her outfit is a little bit less detailed. So we are gonna be drawing. We are drawing she. Oh. Every time people walk past on the sidewalk, like I see the movements out of the corner of my eyes, and I'm just like, oh. I have to keep my blinds closed when I'm in the therapy sessions because I keep getting distracted by, like, dog walkers otherwise. So, good news related to the topic of today's stream is that as of yesterday evening, the script for the video's done! Yippee! So that's cool. I did the hard and difficult thing yesterday. I did the difficult thing, guys, yesterday. I did it. You want to know what I did? You want to know what I fucking did yesterday? I finished my goddamn taxes! I did it. I'm done. Unless my accountant emails me in the next couple of days and be like, you fucked it up, actually. In which case, I will not be done and I will have to do more things. But barring finishing and making up for any fuck-ups, I have completed my 2024 taxes. Fucking finally, am I right? So my accountant's gonna file that for me and then let me know how much money I have to send to the IRS. And it's gonna be a lot because I have to pay those fucking self-employment taxes, baby. I'm in physical pain, but it's so fine. It's so fine. But yeah, so I got an email on, so the, if you got an extension on your 2024 taxes, like I did, the deadline for filing them is in October, but I got an email from my accountant while I was at an anime convention on Friday being like, hey, if you want us to file your taxes for you, we need them by the first week of September. And I was like, whoa, whoa. So I earmarked all of Tuesday. I was like, Tuesday is tax day. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to finish my goddamn taxes. Because, like, here's the thing, is that I had started a couple weeks ago, and then I just got wrapped up in everything, and I hadn't had time to do, like, the last little bits. Like, I have to fill out the rest of my fucking tax organizer and send it over to my accountant and do all, like, that shit. Tally up all of my, utilities expenses and all that jazz, which I don't even know if my accountant uses because I'm pretty sure I'm on the standard deduction. Don't ask me to explain that to you because I'm not a tax professional. I just send them all my awfully large handful of 1099s at the end of the year, and I just go, here you go, accountant. Have fun. But yeah, so I earmarked all day yesterday to do that, and because I had gotten a head start, I finished most of it in like 2 hours. It was an annoying 2 hours, but I did it. And so then I was like, well, I still have the whole day ahead of me, and I put in my to-do list, sleep off that fucking anime con that you were at. All weekend, that made it so you didn't really get the weekend rest time that you would usually get. Because you're very tired today, and you were very tired on Monday, so you should sleep off the anime con a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, now that I'm done with my taxes, I can take the rest of the day off. And then I tried to lay down and take a nap. I tried. And it was too boring and my brain was not having it. My brain was not having it. And so instead, I went to the library and I got a library card and I checked out a Terry Pratchett book to read and I sat upstairs in the library and I finished the script for my next video, and then I went to Barnes & Noble and bought a book that was not at the library, and then I ran a bunch of other assorted errands, and then I came home and I did some revisions for the video script that I finished, because I like to read my video scripts out loud in the process of revising them, and I did not want to do that at the library. And then by the time I was done with that, I had like half an hour to take a nap before therapy, and my therapist was like, you seem tired, and I was like, that is because I am. And I know what you might be thinking to yourself. You might be thinking, okay, well, Star, did you at least sleep today? Because, like, today is supposed to be your doing chores and rest day. And the answer is, no, I did not. No, I did not do that. Because I had a bunch of errands to run today. And I got so wrapped up in running errands that I got home from running errands like an hour before stream. I have not had a nap today. And now I'm streaming and working. So normal. So I am still kind of riding the post-anime con eepy sleeps. So if I seem a little eepy sleepy today, that is why. Listen, it's so it's fine. fine. I'll sleep. Like, listen, I'm getting a full 8 hours of sleep every night. Like, I even slept in a little. I slept in like an extra half an hour today. You guys would be so proud of me. My last alarm went off at 8:30 and I ignored it and I rolled out of bed at 8:50. So I got a smidge more sleep than I would usually. And then I went around and I watered all my plants and I did all my house chores and I did all my errands and now it's afternoon. But there was also like an hour in there where I just like played Uma Musume before stream because horse. I finally fucking finished a run with TM Opera O. I don't know why I was having so much trouble with her, but she was giving me so much shit and kept losing all her goddamn races. But I finally finished a run with her this afternoon after looking up a guide. And just, you know, you look at a single JPEG of like, here's how to train your horns. And I'm like, okie dokie, time to train my horns. And then you just win everything. Need to do that for Rice Shower. I'm pretty sure I have beaten a run with her already, but she's difficult. What are your favorite horses in that game? I love Tokai Teo with all my heart. She is precious, baby. She is just a little baby. And also, the anime-based outfit that you can get as an SSR in that game is like a 3-star. Looks a lot like my normal VTuber outfit. And so I like it based on that. It looks like... Hold on. It looks like this outfit. Because it has like the orange to red scarf. And it's like the little tummy showing and like the skirt and stuff. You put us side by side and we look very similar. And I like that. And I like Teo and she's cute. She's a cute baby. Aside from that, as a Texan, I am obligated to have an affection for, oh God, what's her name? I'm blanking because I'm so fucking tired. Taiki Shuttle. I love her and her big shuttles. I got her randomly and she's just like, she's so, I love her. She is so, you know? She's just so. And then aside from that, just like based on, you know, like character personality and storyline, I love Rice Shower. Rice Shower is precious angel baby. Justice for Rice Shower. I'm gonna start a fucking hashtag. She's a baby, and I love her dearly. And her campaign in career mode is so hard because she is so moody. And she will just get depressed randomly. It's like, baby girl, no. If you get depressed, your numbers won't go up high enough. Baby girl, I need you to take your antidepressants so we can win the race. I need you to do this for me, honey bunches. And then it starts raining, and she's like, I'm sorry it rained, it's all because of me. And I'm just like, you do not control the atmosphere. Please take your antidepressants. It's like, oh, honey bunches. I can honestly, like, Rice Shower's whole thing in the game, where she's just like, seeing all of these things that have literally nothing to do with her. And she blames herself for it. She's like, this is because of something that I did that this bad thing is happening. I see that, and I'm like, why do I find this so relatable? God damn it. Oversharing a smidge. I am definitely one of those people who, whenever a bad thing happens, like amongst my friends, I will feel a sense of guilt over it, even if it has nothing to do with me. And that's one of the things that I'm working on in therapy, is feeling guilty for things that have nothing to do with me. And that's fine. And also feeling guilty about not, finishing, like, obligations that I put on myself and that no one else is expecting me to do. Because what I will do is that I will say, hey, I would like to do this thing. And then if a circumstance happens that means that I can't do that thing, I get really, really fucking guilty and anxious over it. And it's a nightmare, and I'm in hell. I'm in hell, and it's so fine, and I'm having so many expensive conversations about it. It's fine, though. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I start EMDR on Tuesday. It's fine. Anyway. So the script for my next video's done. And that's fun. I've inserted a lot of just like so much yapping about the world building for the stories that I'm working on. So I don't know if I've said this anywhere, but it's gonna come up in the video, but I don't know if I've said it on stream or anywhere else. So the goal here with like the novels that I'm planning is that I want to essentially make just like, you know how sometimes writers will have their cinematic universes where it's like you have a bunch of stories that are all set in the same universe and they're not necessarily like a series of sequels to each other. Like you don't have to read them in order. They just all kind of exist in the same universe. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'm gonna be honest, gang, a part of the reason for that is that, you know, I like interconnected stories. I like being able to see like what's going on in other parts of the world, and I like characters to be able to make cameos and such. But another part of the reason is that I don't like world building, and I would like to only have to do it once. I would greatly prefer to only have to make one universe, and then I can put a whole bunch of stories into that universe and, you know, gradually add to it over the course of a bunch of different stories, rather than have to start from scratch every time I have an idea for a new story starring new Blorbito. So to that end, my goal is for this world that I'm building and that I'm going to be talking about in my next video, is I want it to be very flexible and adaptable so I can do a bunch of different stories within it. But also, here's the thing. Some info I'm going to have to drop at the beginning of my next video is, so the first novel I'm planning, is focused on Lapis, and it's called The Azure Mirage. I've said that name before. You guys have heard that if you've seen my videos. That's the first one I'm planning. However, the universe as a whole, the name may change, but I'm probably gonna call it The Shattered Chord. That's kind of like the universe, the name of the universe. And then Azure Mirage is a story within the Shattered Chord universe. And then when I do the Verity novel, that will also be in the same universe. And if I do the Vesper novel, that will also be a Shattered Chord novel, etc., etc. You guys get it. So that's the name. I don't know if I'd said that anywhere, but there it is. Also, Panda Creator, thank you for the super chat. Are you one day gonna make a cartoon show of Cast Off, and have you seen K-Pop Demon Hunters? Yes, did you like it? I've seen it and I'm dead obsessed. I would love to make a cartoon for Cast Off. I cannot, because that is too much fucking work for one person and I would simply die. I get a lot of people who ask me when Cast Off is gonna get animated, and I'm like, you do not understand the gravity of what you are asking me. Listen, I would love for Cast Off to be able to be some kind of animated thing. It's not really up to me because I can't do that on my own. I may have an animation degree. I can't make an animated series all by myself, you guys. As much as I would love that, I feel like folks have maybe been eating so good with indie pilots these days that they underestimate how much work and time goes into those. Comics I can do by myself. Comics is an easy solo thing that you can just kind of do on your own. Animation is not. So if you guys really, really want a Cast-Off animated series, don't bother me about it. Start bothering like Netflix and shit. Yeah, I already don't get enough sleep. I mean, I do get plenty of sleep, but if I had to also make an animated show on top of everything else, I would simply die. I would simply die. If you guys want an animated pilot for Cast Off, go bother somebody else about it. Go bother an animation studio about it, not me. I can't control that shit. As much as I would love to, not in the cards right now. But also, I am frankly, like, stunned at how often I get that question. Because I'm just like, one, you know, I always intended for Cast Off to be a comic. And comics, contrary to what some people might believe, comics are not designed or intended to be a stepping stone towards animation. And the people who treat them like that, I find very annoying and obtuse. So, here's a pro tip. If you don't make comics because you like comics. I do not recommend using comics as a stepping stone for animation. It's like, okay, I'll make it a comic, and then when it's popular enough, then it'll be an animation. If you want to make an animation, then just make an animation, my guy. I have seen so many people, and it drives me crazy, people who, like, are only interested in comics. They see them as, like, the entry gateway to getting into animation. And I'm like, no, comics are a perfectly viable and acceptable medium all on their own. I heckin' love comics. Stop insisting that they're only a stepping stone towards animation, because they're not. Damn it. We've had some, I will not especially say names. I will not go into any detail, so don't ask me. We have had some people like that apply for Spider Forest, and you can tell. Their work reeks of, we don't care about comics, we want to get into animation, and this is just, we are using it as a stepping stone toward that. And it reeks of, you do not take this medium seriously, and you are unfortunate. It's not a good way to get people to like what you're making. You know? Pam the Creator, thank you for the super chat. Don't worry, I made 3 short films that are 1 minute alone. Yeah, like, I highly recommend, like, if you want to get into animation, just get into animation. Just, like, start making stuff. That's how I got into comics. Is I just started making comics, and then I have not stopped. We love it. I'd love for my webcomic to be animated. No studio would want to touch it, specifically for how strict I as the creator would be with the representation in the comic. It has to stay. Yeah, that's my other thing, is like, if anyone ever if an animation studio came knocking on my door, I'd be, first of all, how did you get my home address? And second of all, I still want a good amount of creative control over how the project goes as its creator. I'd be open to, like, taking suggestions, you know, like potentially changing small things for, you know, the new medium. But if you insist on, like, taking a bunch of shit out that I feel is important to the story, then no, we will not be working together. Get the fuck out. Big un. What's Spider Forest? Spider Forest is the webcomic collective that I am in. We're not like a business or anything. We won't, like, help you get a whole bunch of money. It's just like, it's a collective of cool people who all make comics, and we support each other, and we do, like, yearly events and things. And it is a delightful place filled with delightful people, and I made my very first comic friends from joining Spider Forest. I've been in Spider Forest for almost as long as Cast Off has existed. I joined, like, 6 months after Cast Off started. So, I'm not, like, super duper active in the community anymore, just because I'm busy. But Spider Forest is a cool place, and if you like webcomics, you should go check out the lineup of Spider Forest webcomics. If you make a webcomic, and you want to be in a group of cool folks of, like, similar interests in making comics, you should consider joining. Not right now, though, because we just finished our application season for the year. So if you want to try, you should try and join next year. We only have application season once a year, so. Hi, Milo. Hi. Hello, baby. Who's a baby cat? Who's a baby kitten? Who's a baby kitten? Who's a baby kitten? She's here and she's baby. And she's wagging her little tail and it's hitting the mic. Meow. Hi, baby cat. Hello, kitten kitten. She is a kitten kitten. Yes, it's Milo time. It's Milo hours. She's like, it's Milo o'clock, let me into that lap. And I'm like, okay. She's a baby, she's a baby, she is a baby cat, a baby kitten cat. She's a baby, and I'm gonna hold her. She's a baby, and now I give her kisses. Ow! Oh, she just jumped off. She used me as a launch pad and stuck her sharp little claws directly into my lower intestine. Okay, thank you, Milo. Ow, did that punch a hole in my shirt? Oh my god, yes. Sweet Jesus Christ. Well, cool. It's not like this is one of my favorite shirts or anything. Ow. Ow. Cool. Thanks, Milo. That's fine. It's a cool thing that happened just there. The dangers of owning a cat, everybody! That is now the second extremely cute shirt that one of them has punched a hole in with their big old kitty claws. Oh, dang it. She did not wish to be cuddled, and she took her revenge. Anyway, who wants to hear about one of Star's various errands today? One of my things that I had to do today was go to Home Depot and buy, like, those little pellets that you can buy and put in, like, standing water outside to prevent them from, like, getting populated by mosquito larvae. Because those are apparently very good for dealing with fungus gnats in houseplants. And I've got a wee bit of an infestation that I've been dealing with for a couple of weeks. For the last several weeks, I have been trying desperately to get rid of them, but they keep breeding, and it is significantly better than it was a few weeks ago. But I think one of the plants I bought from like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or something had fungus gnats, and it brought them into my home. And I had to go and buy, a couple weeks ago, I bought one of those like night lights with sticky paper on the back of it to attract the buggies. And that took care of a lot of them. But one of my plants, it's like whenever you like rattle the pot around, just like all of them flew out. And it was just like, just 5 or 6 gnats would just fly out of it. And I was just like, God damn it. And then I'm just like, I'm like smacking them around and I'm trying to get rid of them. And then like you look in the pot and you can like see the larva crawling around and I'm like, no! And I tried, you know, like just putting a whole bunch of hydrogen peroxide in the soil, which is apparently like not harmful for the plants, but it will harm like anything living inside there. And I've been watering it. I've been like dousing the top layer of soil in hydrogen peroxide for a couple weeks now, and it's minimizing them, but it's not gotten rid of all of them. And so what I did, I looked up like how to get rid of fungus gnats, and one of the things that people suggested is you buy like these little pellets that are good for, you put them in standing water outdoors and it prevents mosquitoes from like getting all up in there. But you can also like put it in house plants and it will make it so that any like fungus gnat larva will not grow to adulthood. And if they don't grow to adulthood, they can't breed anymore. And so I bought some of that stuff from Home Depot and I put it in my plants, and the next time I have to water them, I am going to use some of that and just, you're supposed to like make it into a tea essentially. You like let it sit in water overnight and then you water your plants with it, and it's supposed to be good, and it like seeps into the soil and it keeps them from coming back. And it takes a few weeks to reach maximum effectiveness, but I'm just like, I'm so heckin' sick of it. And it could be way worse. Like I said, a few weeks ago, it was way worse. It's much better than it was, but I would like there to be none in my house rather than very few. Heckin' buggies. Get out of my house, you don't even pay rent! So that's one of the things that Star was up to today. One of my many errands. I also had a moment of weakness at the hardware store, because I got 2 new plants. Because they had some that I thought were pretty cool looking, and so I brought home 2 more. And one of them is a little peperomia, and it's very cute. It's got like these very light colored leaves, and they're little and they're cute, and they're little vining plants, and they're very adorable. And then the other one I got was a Phytonia, but it's got like these red veins on the leaves, and it looks very cool. So I need names for 2 new plants now, by the way. I'm thinking the one with the red veins, I'm probably gonna name Emery, because it very much is her vibe. But I'm not sure about the other one. I'm not sure about the peperomia. I'm not sure what I'm gonna name that one yet. I have to think of a blorbo it fits. I could name it Senna because the leaves are kind of like a light color. I could do that. Vesper. I already have a plant named Vesper, and I actually gave it to my brother. It was a propagation of one of my pothos. And I actually have 2 new pothos propagations that are ready to go in soil, so I gotta name those guys too. Have you named one Emery? I have not, so I'm thinking that one of the ones I bought today is gonna be Emery. I've been thinking about how I would do an Emery-focused story in the Shattered Chord universe, but because of the limitations of the magic system, it would be kind of difficult. I'd probably have to change a fair amount just with like kind of how her story plays out. I'm thinking the only way it could really work while getting it as close as possible to something else. There's a couple different ways I could go about it, but one of the main ways that I'm kind of thinking of is, this is a reference that's not going to make sense to most of y'all, but if you know, you know. I'm thinking probably one of the only ways an Emery story in like the Shattered Chord universe could work is if we have a villain who's on some Saito Sajima shit. And if you know what that means, then you know what that means. And if you don't, then don't worry about it. Go watch my Somnium Files playthrough on my second channel. If you know, you know. And if you don't worry about it. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then don't worry about it. I figured that most of y'all probably wouldn't, but the ones who know, they know. That's messed up, I love it. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Because I think the only way it would work is with, like, someone having a specific type of gifted magic. Because, like, okay, I've talked about this, I think, I talked about this in my Azure Mirage video. Where there's kind of 2 separate magic systems in the universe. There's learned magic, which is essentially D&D wizards. Like, anyone can learn magic, but there's a lot of limitations to it, and it's kind of difficult, so most people don't bother. You kind of have to be a turbo nerd if you want to do learned magic. But then also, everybody in this planet has, like, superpowers. They're kind of like My Hero Academia quirks. And most of them are fairly mundane, but sometimes you get people with like really interesting ones that can go beyond the limits of what you can do with learned magic. And I'm thinking that if we wanted to do Emery's storyline in the Shattered Chord universe, which I would like to do maybe at some point, I'm thinking we would probably need a villain with a very specific type of gifted magic. Saito Sajima related. If you know, you know. If you don't worry about it. Del CD, thank you for the super chat. A bit of an unrelated question. I've been wanting to get into doing art commissions, but I'm not sure what payment processor to use for them. Honestly, I don't know if payment processor is what you're looking for. You might be looking more for like what platform to use. Because ideally you should give people like a choice of what payment processors to use. Whether they want to pay for it with a credit card or whether they want to like pay with PayPal or whatever the hell. What I usually do is I send people an invoice, and then they pay it however they choose to pay it. I usually use Square for my invoices. It's the same platform I use for taking in-person payments at conventions, but they also let you make invoices. And then people can pay that invoice however the hell they want. That's what I do anyway. Just kind of a general thing is, rather than just waiting on someone else to pay you for commissions, you should always make an invoice and send it to them. It's better for documentation purposes if they try to scam you and not pay. You can say, hey, no, or like, you know, try to dispute the payment after they've given it to get a free commission. You can say, no, there's an invoice, you paid the invoice, and the invoice very specifically said, this is what you are getting in exchange for your money, and the product was delivered. It'll protect you from, like, false chargebacks and things of that nature, so. Oh. Hey, just a quick question. After this week, will the Ariana plush ever come back? No! The Ariana plushies are a limited time release item. They will only be around until next week. I believe they end at like early in the morning on Tuesday. So I'm just gonna say it ends on Monday. Monday is the last day to get an Ariana plush probably ever. So if you want this plushie who's on my head right now, you need to get one before they're gone. There is a link in the pinned comment. There is also a link in the description. But yeah, if you've been on the fence about getting an Ariana plushie, there is okay, so like full disclosure, there is every possibility that in like a couple years maybe, Makeship might be like, hey, let's rerun this plushie because we've had enough interest and people seem to want to do a rerun. But there is no guarantee of that. That happens so infrequently. It's basically like, if it happens, it's not going to be for at least another year, probably. And that's just me that's just me talking out of my ass, but I can't imagine they'd want to do a rerun super soon anyway. But anytime I've asked them about Vector plushies and like a Vector plush rerun, they've kind of brushed me off and not answered. So, if you want an Ariana plushie, you need to get one, like, during this period, or you will not be able to get one. So that's the situation we find ourselves in. My other thing about the plushies is I would love to do a plushie of like my mascot, my little avatar here, my VTuber. I don't know how well it would sell. I was talking about this to a friend this weekend while I was at the con, and it's like, I feel like, you know, because I am a VTuber. You know, like I am. Categorically I am. That is a thing that I do. But I feel like I'm so far removed from, like, the traditional, like, kind of path that a VTuber would take. I don't know if people, like, would care that much about, like, a plush of my mascot or anything like that. I don't know. I think a star plush would sell pretty well. I would buy it. I would so buy that. It's an extremely cute VTuber. I would buy one if I was able. Okay, well, you guys are boosting my confidence a little bit. But yeah, I probably wouldn't do it, like, right away. My other thing is, like, you know, people want cast-off plushies. And I feel like people want cast-off plushies more than they want plushies of my mascot. Of me, you know? And so at that point, it's like, well, okay, when do I do the mascot plushie, though, right? Because I feel like if I do a mascot plushie next, all the people who want a Frankie plushie and have been harassing me for a Frankie plushie are gonna get pissed off at me. Be like, when's Frankie plushie? When's Frankie plushie? But I don't know. I don't know. I also just kind of feel like, in terms of, like, VTuber stuff, there is more, like, I guess, traditional VTuber stuff that I would like to get into, but I feel like I'm just not very in touch with, like, the heavy air quotes culture of VTubing. Like, I never really did a debut or anything, because I didn't feel like I needed to. I was already here, like, making stuff. I didn't see the point. I literally, like, the very first stream I ever did as a VTuber was literally just, like, a random art stream. And I was just like, hey, by the way, my VTuber model is done. Come to stream if you want to see it. World's most chill-ass debut ever. But yeah, like, a lot of VTubers, you know, like, they mostly play games. A lot, like, do a lot of gaming collabs with, like, other VTubers. A lot of people do song covers. And I keep seeing, like, stuff I would love to get more into, but it's like, I feel like I'm missing some key elements of, like, that social aspect, you know? I feel like most of my audience watches my videos, not so much my streams. And I'm just, I don't know. It just, I feel like this weird separation between me and the rest of, like, the VTuber community. And it's like, I would like to, you know, have some other VTuber friends. And I have made, like, a small amount of them, but I'm just, like, I'm shy, and I want to be more social, but I don't know. I'm just kind of, like, doing my thing. I'm just kind of a little guy. I just... You don't have to do any of that to be a VTuber. No, but I want to, is what I'm saying. Is, like, I think it would be fun to do, like, some of the other stuff that, like, other VTubers are doing, but I feel, like, so disconnected from it. I feel like a lot of people who just watch my videos and don't come to my streams, like, don't even know that I'm a VTuber. And that just kind of feels weird to me, because I've been streaming for way longer than I've been doing YouTube stuff. And so it's kind of odd to me. And there's part of me that feels like, should I use my VTuber model in my videos more often? Is that a thing I should do? Just to be like, hey, also, here's my heckin' mascot, there you go. If I did a song cover and posted it on my main channel, would everyone unsubscribe because they were like, her voice is gross and I don't want to hear this shit? I don't think people would, but it's just like, I don't know. Another part of me is nervous to do song covers just because it's like, oh god, I have to get someone else to do, like, the editing for my voice, and I get shy about that kind of thing. I get shy. No. I just feel like I have... I suppose you could say it's like a type of FOMO, but I feel like my introversion and shyness is kind of kicking my ass. Where it's like, you could have, you know, more friends in the same niche as you, but you're so isolated from all of the others because you're too anxious to talk to any of them because of various personal reasons. And I'm just like, yeah, but I want to make friends though. But it's hard. And I have a lot of reservations because of the personal past trauma, you see, that I'm working through in therapy. Yippee. You can't just tell us to make things badly, just make the things you want to make last stream, and then not make the things you want to make. Okay, that's fair. That's extremely calling me out. I will say another part of it is just like, you know, there's a big part of me that's like, one, I don't have a lot of time. It's one of those things where it's like, I get really into thinking about it, and then it's like, oh, but I've got like a million other things to do. I have like a million other things to do, and I don't necessarily have time. And then it's like, okay, well, if I did a song cover, what song would I want to do? And then I think about it for like 6 months, and then I haven't done it. And I'm like, well, shit. Anyway, here's some aloe vera for that burn. Shut up, Holly. Shut up. Where's my water? I need to drink some water for that burn. But yeah, another part of me has been thinking, like, this was some advice, this was like a subject that we came up with, we ended up talking about, like, on a recent Screen Tones episode, and it's kind of sticking with me. Where it's like, a lot of people who say they want to make a webtoon, or like a webcomic, I get this so often with, like, I want to make a webtoon, but I have no motivation. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, don't call it a webtoon, call it a webcomic, because webtoon is a specific brand, and webtoon's kind of been falling down the shitter for years now, so we don't like that platform here. I have major beef with webtoon. I'm not going to go into it right now. It's too much. It's too much. My thing is that, like, we talked about this on Screen Tones, is like, I think that some people really like the idea of having a webcomic, but they don't necessarily enjoy the process of making it, and so that's kind of where a lot of people get stuck, right? They think about how cool it would be to have a webcomic and make one, but then they don't actually have the motivation to sit down and make it. And I feel like that is true of a lot of hobbies, where it's like, yeah, I think it would be cool to do this thing, but actually getting the motivation and the time to sitting down and doing it is an entirely different thing. And that's kind of me with music. Where it's like, I like the idea of doing, like, some song covers and doing some music and stuff, just for fun. Like, I think it would be fun. Because, like, I used to be in, like, one of those cosplay dance cover groups, and I loved that. I thought it was so much fun. And there's part of me that's been wanting to get back into it. But then I, like, sit down and I think about it. And the truth is that I feel like I like the idea of doing that more than the actual, like, process of doing it. Another thing is just, like, the whole, like, dance cover idol thing, I think was one of the reasons I found joy from it was doing something with a group of people, and doing it solo would not have the same joy, as it used to when I did it with a group, and that's another thing. And so, for me, part of, like, thinking about, like, doing song covers and music is, like, I like the idea of doing these things, but, like, the process of actually sitting down and, like, recording myself singing and, like, sending that off to people who could, like, make the video for it and do the sound editing and all that other stuff is kind of just, like, I think another part of it is, like, if I could do the audio editing myself, then I would have done it a bajillion years ago, but I don't know shit about, like, music editing. And so the idea of, like, having to pay someone else to do part of the process for me just makes me go, I want to do it all myself, but I don't necessarily want to learn how to do this complicated skill. And then the engine stalls in the mud on the side of the road. And then we are here for 30 years. And that's why I've never released any song covers. It's like, I think this would be fun, but the thought of actually sitting down and doing it sounds really annoying. And I look at people who are like really into music and doing all that stuff, and I'm like, I admire that dedication so much, and I will so enjoy the products of your labor, but I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if it's for me. You edit your regular videos, is that very different? Yes. Editing audio for like music is extremely different than just putting a YouTube video together. Because I have tried, and the disciplines are so incredibly different. And I tried and I did a bad job. I did a very bad job. So yes, they are extremely different skills. That's like asking if plumbing is very different from woodworking. Like, yes. Extremely so. Here's a fun fact for you guys. I learned video editing when I was a baby teenager because I wanted to make AMVs. That's how I learned. I learned by just dicking around in whatever random video editing software my dad had on the computer for putting together home videos. And I was like, I'm gonna make anime music videos. And I did do that, and that's how I learned editing software. There's your star lore for the day. And so then when I learned that in middle school, and then in high school when I was taking like classes on basic video editing, just like computer skills class, we learned some basic video editing. I was basically the teacher for that part because I finished the assignments in like 10 minutes, and then I would like walk around and I'd help other people and I got extra credit for it. I was like, yeah, I taught myself how to do this when I was like 12. You cannot still find my old AMVs on YouTube because they've been taken down for copyright infringement, but that was a thing that did happen. So. Gotta get this perfect tail curve. Schwa. I was making AMVs back in the day before you could upload videos that were longer than 10 minutes to YouTube. Back in the day, people would upload like fan-subbed episodes of anime, and you had to watch them in 3 parts because YouTube did not let you upload a video that was longer than 10 minutes. And one of the AMVs I made was to the Weird Al song Albuquerque. And that, in case you don't know, is an 11-minute song. So I had to upload that shit in 3 parts. And then at some point, part 1 got removed for copyright infringement, but somehow the other 2 parts did not. And a lot of people kept asking me, hey, could you re-upload part 1? And the answer at that point was no, because I didn't save the file on my computer. So once YouTube took it down, it was dead in the water. Oopsie heckin' doodles. Hey guys, this is so random and off topic. If I ever streamed horse game, if I streamed Uma Musume, like what character route would you guys want to watch? Don't say gold ship. Don't say gold ship. I love her, but she is a nightmare person. Ogre cap, I don't have Ogre. She is one of the few that I don't have. Gold ship, I just said don't do gold ship. Stop saying gold ship. Stop saying gold ship. Stop saying gold ship. God damn it. Ah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when I would do this, hypothetically. I've just been thinking that might be fun to do. That might be fun to do. It's just like play through story mode. Because my thing is, okay, I play through the characters' campaigns. I don't read the dialogue. I do not read the dialogue, like, at all. If I did if I, you know, did a horse game, would people actually want me to, like, read through all the dialogue in the story mode, or do we just horse? Do we skip the dialogue and just do horse? Like, I don't know. I usually don't read the dialogue, I just skip over all of it. I just skip it all. Okay, I need to draw this big stick. I need to draw the big stick. Depends on how good the stories are. You're a pretty good voice actor. Oh, thank you! That's, okay. That's another thing where it's like, I don't want to do this as a career. I don't want to make it like a whole big thing. But I'd love to do just like 1 or 2 voice acting roles in like a video game or something. Just like something small. Just to say that I did do it is like, I'd love to just be like a random NPC or something. Because I know we haven't done it in a while, but I do enjoy like voice acting for unvoiced video games when I'm streaming. I think it's fun. And it lets me let my theater kid out. I get to just go a little bit crazy. Loved Star's voice in the Ghost Trick streams. Oh, thank you! I did my very best. I've been itching to replay those games. I keep trying to play the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles again, and I cannot. Everyone is so silent, it sounds wrong now. Aw, man. Teehee. I'm glad that people like my voice acting. I feel like I don't necessarily have as much range as other folks, but I do my best and I have fun with it, you know? I do my best and I have fun, and that's the important bit. Alright, now I need to save this out as the sketch. We can open that in my reference little slider here. And now we can slap on the colors. The colors. But yeah, I was thinking that's like, it's been a little bit since I've done a game with voice acting. I think the last one I did was Ghost Trick, and that was a while. How long ago was Ghost Trick? When did I stream that? Because, like, the next game I want to stream is the new Somnium Files game. I think we're going to probably start that this weekend. But that game's fully voice acted, so I wouldn't need to do anything. It was like last summer, wasn't it? Was it really that long ago? I thought it was more recent than that. Someone go look up when my Ghost Trick streams were. Cause yeah, and then like we played the new Rune Factory game, but that was all voiced too, and I wasn't even expecting that. I guess it wasn't all voiced. We had to do a little bit, but most of it was voiced. Like 90% of it was voiced, right? which is a good amount. The ears. Snow leopard ears. Now, hold on. That's not the right color. That's like fully black. There. I want them to be like this dark gray that I have selected. February 2024! Oh my god, it's been a year and a half since Ghost Drake. I could have sworn that was like 6 months ago. Oh my god! It has been longer than I thought, apparently. Good golly gracious. Well, that answers that question. My god. Did you finish Ghost Trick? I did! The entire playthrough, I believe. Is Ghost Trick saved on this channel or my second channel? I at some point stopped migrating my gaming streams to the second channel because it just didn't feel like it made sense. It's just like, well, I mean, they're all saved on like a separate tab anyway, so I don't feel like I need to go like take them somewhere else to archive them. Are just slapping down colors at this point. Slappity slappity. Heckin' color theory in action right here. This looks way grayer than it does once I have all the other colors up. And then the color for her big stick. There. Big stick. I kind of want to know who this OC is and what their story is. You will learn in my next video that's coming out in a couple weeks. Actually, you know what? I think the stick needs to go on top of the tail. Like so. I think that makes a little bit more sense. Stick. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense logically. However, would it then... Okay, yeah, it would be a little bit visible behind her here. That makes sense. I can do that. There. Yippee. Woo. Messing up my layering. There. We're gonna muss up these edges a little bit. Make it look a little bit more like fur. This is fur color. And then we add the spots. The spottles. One of the reasons why I wanted to do a snow leopard girl specifically is that snow leopards are my favorite big cat. I like tigers too, but I love a snow leopard. I think they are very cool. Why not give her a snow leopard face? Simple answer, don't wanna. I am a big fan, me specifically. I'm less into anthro characters and more into just like cat girls. That's where my personal interests lie. And so when I'm coming up with characters, that is what I'm going to lean towards. It's like, no shade on folks who enjoy anthros more. It's just not really my scene, necessarily. Kimono Mimi-esque. Yes, exactly. Like, I mentioned this in the video that's gonna be coming out soon, but I watched Tokyo Mew Mew at a formative age and it changed my brain chemistry. And I have loved cat girls ever since. I feel like there's a scale of how much animal you put on a character before Star kind of loses interest. It's like a bell curve. Let me show you. So it's like, this is just a normal person. This is a person with cat ears. This is like kind of a person with like more like cat-like features, but they're still like very human. And then this is like your full anthro. Right? The curve of Star's interest is like, yes, fun, yeah, This is kind of what that curve looks like. This is the sweet spot. That is just my I cannot stress enough how much that is simply my personal opinion. You guys are perfectly allowed to disagree with me, and that's totally fine, but for me, that is where my personal interest lies. I like characters with, like, animal ears, interesting tails, maybe a little bit more like their physicality kind of matches what their animal, like, counterpart would be. But once you start getting more into, like, actual anthro, I just kind of going, eh. Yeah. It's fine. It's just not my thing. It's just not for me. I like humanoid characters with interesting features rather than like characters that are more on the side of full anthro. But that's just me. That's just me. I want to give her some spots. Do I want to give her those kind of spots, or do I want to give her spots more like this color? Looks funny. See, another thing with kind of just like my personal tastes and character designs, when I kind of reverse engineered tieflings for my universe and kind of I changed the names. They're called Cinderins now. The way I kind of figured it out is that Cinderins are more closely related in this universe to dragons rather than devils. Because they are born from the shards of the god who made dragons. And so the horns are a little bit more like dragon adjacent, but they don't necessarily look like lizard people. They just have some similar traits. And I feel like with some characters, I might do like a little bit of like scaling. Like scales. But I don't want them to necessarily look like full dragonborns, like in D&D. So not quite Aura from Final Fantasy XIV. Little bit. I need to look up what Aura looks like. But I do remember when I was, for the 5 hours that I played Final Fantasy XIV before I got bored, I was actually also considering an Aura character because I thought they looked cool, but I ended up going with Cat Girl because I'm a sucker for cat girls. But see, does that look too much like do the dark spots on her light-colored hair make her look too much like she has dragon fruit hair? I'm iffy on this. I'm iffy on the spots. Chat's going crazy, but I'm locked in for a moment. Please allow me to lock in, please and thank you. There. I think that looks fine. I don't think she necessarily needs spots. Maybe less spots. I'm gonna put the spots on a new layer so I don't have to do that again if I decide I don't like it. Maybe just like a couple. Tasteful spots. Maybe I'll make them a little lighter. I do kind of like that, actually. Kind of make the shapes a little bit less consistent. Maybe a little darker. Okay, and then I do need to give her the little back of the ear spots. Because I did look it up, and snow leopards do have those. It took a little bit to find a picture, but I did find one eventually. They have, just like tigers, they have spots on the back of their ears. Whoa. Yes. Yes. Yes! I just realized I forgot to do her little, like, hair thingy. She's just got, like, a little... I debated giving her, like, a big braid on the back of her hair. And I decided not to do that because it felt like the shape of the big braid. I wanted to do, like, a big braid, like... Come on. Work with me here. Big braid, like, it was, like, kind of small, but then it, like, fanned out like this. I thought about doing that and, like, you know, add some texture because it's braid, but I felt like it was fighting with the silhouette of the tail too much. So... Okay, let me turn these off for right now, because I'm gonna... Okay, and then actually, you know what I've forgotten to do is I haven't done my sneaky little step that I always do. I haven't done it yet, and I need to. Sneaky little step where I fill in behind the line art with my magic green brush that always freaks people out when they watch my speed paints. They're like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, it's my secret surprise tool that will save me some time later. Tee-hee. It's the green circle! Green circle alert! Green circle! Code green! Green circle spotted! Like, no, my leopard girl is spotted, you fools. You idiots. Yeah. Snow leopard. Actually, you know what? Her hair would be darker on this, like, little ponytail thingy. Line Sensei gave you a shout out over the green circle tip. Who is that? I've never heard that name before. Are they cool? They better be cool if they've got my name in their mouth. I tease, I'm joking. But, like, seriously, are they cool, though? Who is that? I'm unfamiliar. I feel like I want to do some kind of patterning on either the pants or the little waist scarf thing. Professional illustrator who just sort of appeared on YouTube 6 months ago and started dropping the most professional quality drawing tutorials I've ever seen. Nice! I wonder if that's the same person that we were talking about in the art YouTuber chat. Because someone brought up somebody who was doing something kind of like that. But I don't know if it's the same person. I have a couple of, like, assorted pattern brushes. And that looks too, like, regal fancy. I want something a little bit more just, like, woodsy. That's kind of fun. That's kind of fun. It's not the color I would want to go with. I did it on the wrong layer. Crunk, delete that layer. Wrong layer! Why do we even have that layer? I wonder if making it like... gold? No, no, no. What are some other options we have for fun effects? Lots of lace brushes. I have zipper brushes. Oh, this one's kind of fun. I think I used this one on Nyx when I was designing him. Just kind of like a fun circle patterny thingy. That's kind of fun. What if we hit it with a multiply layer? It's kind of fun. What are some other options we have? Squares. Silly squares. We do have some silly squares. Got some different silly circles. I think I'm liking the squares. I feel like that kind of... I wanted her to be like very, like kind of bottom heavy and sturdy. Was kind of the vibe I was going for. I feel like the squares aren't terrible. And I've got a lot of like these fancy leafy patterns that I actually originally downloaded for when I was drawing Darius. And I think I'm gonna use hashtag my squares. Yeah, I think I like the squares. I think the squares are winning. But what I am gonna do, I might make this blue a little brighter, maybe. Yeah, just like a smidge. Smidge lighter. And I think I'm gonna make the little armbands. I like these middle shades. I think that unifies it a little better. And actually, I'm gonna make all of that like the lighter gold color, and then we'll add the different colors with shading. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the eyes first. Vocals are stunning on the song, right? This is like the song that plays when you're making your character in the beginning. And the way it does just get stuck in your damn head. Down, down, down by the river. of all the songs on this soundtrack, what's it called? Night Song, I believe, is the one that I really like. Yeah, this one. I'm not gonna say what's going on when you hear this song, but it's a very cool moment. I heckin' love this song. It's so dramatic. The scene where the song is played gives me full body chills every time. Yes! Yes! 1000% agreed. It's so good. Alright, and now it is silly little shading time, where we do some silly little shading. Wowie zowie. Oops! Wrong layer! I did it again! Where's the music from? We're listening to the Baldur's Gate soundtrack today. Because I feel like it. The song unironically fits Senna so good too. I guess. I'm not I feel like in my head I kind of imagine it more for something else, like a different character, although that does make me realize I haven't really talked very much about Senna today. I have not done that, and I should do that. Here, who wants to hear my cat girl tales? Pun unintended. Cat girl stories. So Senna came from, first of all, a little bit of a cat girl lore drop right at the beginning is where that name came from. So Senna is actually, it comes from Senna is like a name that I have had in my back pocket for several years, and I was like, one of these days, I'm gonna name a character this, because I really like this name. And do you guys want to know where that name came from? You want to know where the first time I heard that name from was? That was the name of the neighborhood I used to live in when I lived in Japan. My neighborhood was called Senna. It was only spelled with one N when it was written in English alphabet, but I added a second one because I liked how it looked written down better. So yeah, it's like my little neighborhood, my little area of town was this little Senna neighborhood. And I was like, I want to name a character that someday. I'm gonna name a character that someday, and then I did. She finally exists. My baby girl. So that's where the name came from. As far as the actual character, I'd been wanting to figure out how to insert, like, animal hybrid, like, people into the fantasy world I was building, largely inspired by Arknights. I just really, really, really like the character designs in that game, and I like cat girls, and I like animal characters like in Tokyo Mew Mew, and I was like, I'm a do that. I'm gonna do that. And so I started thinking about, like, well, I want to do, like, big cat characters specifically. And snow leopards are my favorite big cats. And so I started thinking about, I was like, well, there's a couple of, like, snow leopard characters in Arknights, and one of them is my favorite, Cliffheart, my beloved. But I started thinking about, like, the logistics of having like a snow leopard character in the universe is like, okay, well, what if this was actually a character who existed, what would they be like? And I started imagining like, well, maybe they live in a warmer environment and they hate it, and so they like their clothes are fairly minimal just because they overheat really easily because their body is adapted for snowy environments, and then they go anywhere else, like literally anywhere else, and it's like people who live in Alaska who just walk around in the snow in like gym shorts because they're like, it's not that cold, it's only -20 out. And meanwhile, my ass over here gets chilly at 60 degrees. Because I was born in the heat, molded by it. But yeah, so I just had like this mental image of like, I didn't want to make her like, scantily clad cat girl, like all the anime loving boys, like, don't want to do that. But I just figured it's like, you know, she'd probably like wear something relatively light and simple, and like that shows a bit of tummy, just like a little bit. But I wanted to give her heckin' abs. Heckin' abs, because she does combat, she works out. And I'm imagining her personality-wise like, the older, like, kind of jaded high school senior type of character. Where it's like she hangs out with the other, like, older kids, like, behind the gym at lunchtime. And she befriends Vesper, and Vesper just thinks she's the coolest shit ever. And so you have to imagine, like, plucky little 13-year-old Vesper just, like, meeting Senna for the first time and being like, you're the coolest person I've ever met. Oh my god, teach me everything you know. And so Senna's like, LOL, this is a child. Here's a stick. And she like hands her the staff, and it's just like, okay, it's like, sure. Master this like very basic form with your stick. And then when I come back in a month, because my traveling caravan leaves tomorrow, we'll be back in like a month, and if you've mastered that, by the time I get back, then I'll teach you another one. And Vesper's just like so sincere and genuine about it, and she's just like, okay! And you know, Senna kind of like brushes her off at first. She's like, yeah, she's just like a weird kid who keeps following me around and thinks I'm cool. But then like Vesper actually, you know, like kind of does a good job at like learning combat and like absorbing the techniques that Senna's teaching her. And over time, Senna like actually does start genuinely getting attached. But in that like cool non-committal kind of way where it's very much like the Rosa Diaz type of attachment. It's like, I've only had Vesper for a day and a half, but if anything happened to her, I'd kill everyone in this room and then myself type of vibe. She's like, she's very kind of like low key. She's very just kind of like nonchalant. She's extremely aloof, I think is a good way of putting it. But she does genuinely like form this like kind of older sister bond with Vesper. Just because it's like, okay, this kid's actually like listening to me and teaching me and treating me like a person of authority. That's cool, I kind of like that. Aloof, like many cats. Yeah. But I just kind of always imagined her as like, she acts like she doesn't give a shit. She's like, I'm only doing the whole caravan guarding thing because it's the family business, but I don't actually like traveling that much. I'd much rather just like settle down somewhere and just like have a place. That's like another thing with her, is that her family's been like, they've been kind of nomadic her entire life. Her family has worked as caravan guards for like as long as she's been alive. And so she learned combat so she could, you know, do the family business and like continue guarding caravans. And so she's never really had a home base to call her own. And so she, unlike Vesper, does not yearn for adventure. She yearns to be able to put down roots and have like a house with a cute little garden in front, and then she wants to just like never leave. She's like, I've spent my whole life moving around. I want to get enough money so that I never have to go anywhere else ever again. And so if she ends up joining the party on insert whatever adventure hypothetically that they maybe go on in a hypothetical Vesper novel, she would mostly accompany them because she wants to save up money to buy a house so that she can quit the family business and, like, you know, leave that to her parents and be like, okay, peace, I'm gonna go get a house somewhere and, like, grow cute flowers and watch the snowfall and not have to worry about being in another city tomorrow and just enjoy it. Cat girl yearns for the vines. Yeah. She's like, she does not want to be an adventurer. She wants to settle down, but she already has some combat skills. And Vesper seems really intent on adventuring. And she's like, well, I have to make sure that my little protege stays safe. And also, if there's money in it, then count me in, because I'm saving up. So that's kind of what her vibe is. She's just very kind of aloof older teen who kind of like takes the babies in under her wing. And she's just like, listen, they're annoying little brats, but they're my annoying little brats. And if you do anything to hurt them, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I've just been having a lot of fun just kind of like fleshing out little random characters and what stories they might potentially be doing. And I think they're fun. I'm playing over here with my little Legos and I'm having fun. I don't know if every single one of them is going to eventually make it into a finished novel, but at the very least I'm playing around and I'm playing with my Legos. And I just like coming up with characters. I like it. I feel like if they did go on some kind of adventure together, Vesper, you know, she's kind of sheltered. She grew up in, like, being pretty, like, under the watchful eye of a very protective family. And so I feel like she would be a little bit, like, naturally way too trusting. And Senna's the one who's just like, no, we're not paying full price for whatever the hell this random dude is trying to sell us. This is obviously a scam, and I'm gonna haggle him down. And she's just like aggressive. She grew up with merchants. She very aggressively haggles. And meanwhile, like, Vesper and Cameron are just like off in the corner watching, and they're like, whoa, cool. Senna's like the one in the group with street smarts more than anybody else, I would argue. Also, don't take this as gospel, this might not be a thing that happens, but I do think that what's, like, you know, Senna and Vesper are friends, and Senna has been teaching Vesper some, like, various techniques for maybe, like, a year or two when Vesper, there's some sort of inciting incident that inspires Vesper to finally abscond into the wilderness and go off and actually be an adventurer against her family's wishes. And when she does that, eventually Senna finds her and is just like, dude, kid, I thought you were dead. Your parents said that you just fucking ran off, and now they blame me for it because they blame me because, like, Vesper was kind of getting, like, combat training from Senna in secret, and then when Vesper goes missing, she gets interrogated by Vesper's family, and they're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing all the way out here? Your parents think that you ran away because I encouraged you to, and now they're up my ass. What are you doing? And Vesper's like, I want to do adventure, and my grandpa's a dick. And Senna's like, okay, you know what? I do get that, but, like, you understand I have to tell your parents where you are. And she's like, no! Don't tell them, because if you tell them, they're gonna drag me back, and I don't wanna. The petulant teen vibes. Vesper would be probably like 14 or 15 when this happens. And I just, I love the energy. I want to do adventure. Grandpa's a dick. Yeah, very much. I do think that Rodin is just like hideously overprotective of like everyone in his family, like all his descendants. He's just like, nope, nope, nope. And there's like some others, like, you know, he's already protective because he lost Verity. He lost the love of his life. That fucked him up so fucking bad. And then, you know, kind of between A and B, something else happens and he loses another person very close to him. And then he's just like, okay, you know what? Nope, we're shutting this down. Those in the family, you guys stay within the walls of this city because it's safe there and nothing bad will happen to you. And Vesper vehemently objects to this. Does not want to be stuck inside the city for the rest of her life. She wants to have adventures. And Grandpa's like, adventure's dangerous. And she's like, but you got to go on adventures. And he's like, yeah. And the very important people that I love are dead because they went on adventures. And so, like, you know, Rodin would also end up having an arc where he, like, learns to be a little bit less protective and, like, let people go out and spread their wings. But, like, also he's so hideously traumatized. And so it's, this is a problem, is that when you love all of these characters, is like they all have like their various arcs and stuff. I've also been kind of considering like how Vesper would impact the Verity novel when I eventually write that. And I do think I kind of maybe want her to have a bigger role in that story than I originally planned. Because it's fun for me, you see. Because it's fun for me, you see. Brainstorming about, like, you know, Verity comes back from the dead. Rodin is like, okay, I have you back from the dead. That's amazing. If you die again, I will fucking lose my entire shit. So maybe you don't go putting your life in danger more than you already have. And Verity's like, but I want to help with like the things that you and your people are doing. And he's like, but you don't have to. You could just stay here and it's so safe and you just don't ever have to leave and it's fine. And Verity at some point gets frustrated and she tries to sneak out and fails. And then Vesper's like, I know how to sneak out of town. Do you want to come with me? So they're just like, they both just like run the fuck away. And Rodin's like so pissed. And Vesper's just like, hey, Lady Verity. Do you want to sneak out? Do you want to sneak out? I know a secret exit that none of the guards know about. Do you want to sneak out with me? I can go introduce you to my cool friends who live in another town, and we can go on an adventure. Do you want to go on an adventure with me, Verity? Yeah, Rodin, not again. Yeah. Exactly. See, I think it would be funny. It's like, you know, Vesper like figures out, is like, oh, well, I can just leave. And then he tries to pull the whole like super stupid overprotective thing on Verity when she comes back from the dead, and Verity's upset by that. And then Vesper's just like, hey, do you want to sneak out? I know how to sneak out of town. I can get you out of here. Grandpa's gonna be pissed. He's gonna be pissed though, so just be aware that that's gonna be a thing that happens. She's a gremlin? Little bit. I think that might be a fun thing to explore in the eventual Verity novel of what if we play around with the very overprotective Rodin trope? The kind of alternate story. What if we play around with that a little bit? And we have some fun? And Verity's like, he's not telling me the whole story because he's trying to like keep me safe. But there's stuff happening that I could be helping with that he's not letting me helping. Rodin starts embedding air tags in their armor. Oh my god, he would though. He absolutely would. Writes that down as a potential plot point. Fantasy air tag. He would. He so would do that. Your granddaughter runs away, run time, and now you gotta install air tags on every family member. And he finally, like, he just, like, catches up to, like, Vesper and Verity when they're, like, on the run. And he just, like, walks up to their campsite. And they're like, how did you find us? And he's like, I installed air tags. Fantasy air tags on all your stuff. And they're just like, what the fuck, Grandpa? Oh my god, that would be so funny. He would, though. He would is the thing. I could easily see that being a thing that he does. They are justifying his paranoia. Little bit. But listen. He's gonna have to learn not to be so overprotective sometime. At some point, he will have to learn this. And it's gonna be the easy way or the hard way. Especially Verity. Like, Verity's gonna be like, you can't keep me here. You cannot keep me here. He's like, I know you're like, there's like a whole thing. And, you know, are we still dating? I don't know if we are, because it's a little weird. There's like a 200-year time gap in the middle there. But you're not my dad. You're definitely not my dad, so you can't tell me what to do. You can't keep me here. I'm gonna go on an adventure because there's things I need to do. And if you're not gonna let me help, then maybe I just leave. You cannot trap me here. I am an independent lady. And I shall go where I please. Oh, it's fun. Like, the Verity and Rodin thing, like, it is a little awkward just because it's just like, their relationship is like they were dating, and then there was a 200-year time skip for only one of them. And it's so weird to deal with, but it's just like, it's something that they have to navigate. It's something that they kind of have to figure out. And I'm just like, ah, oh, my babies. My babies. $200-year time skip. Yeah, so for those who don't know a little bit about the story, is that Verity's general synopsis of her plot is that she was an adventurer with like her little group of friends, and then she, like, during one of their early missions, their party gets attacked by this big monster that they cannot handle, and she beefs it and dies. And it's horribly tragic. And like the rest of her party, they try to resurrect her. It does not work. Asterisk. Put a pin in it, we'll come back to it later. So it does not work. And so the rest of the party just like lives out the rest of their lives. And by the time like Verity suddenly, mysteriously pops back into existence because of circumstances, 200 years have passed. 3 out of 4 of her old party members have passed away in that time. Rodin's the only one still alive. And for her, it feels like no time has passed. From her perspective, she was in that fight like yesterday. And now she's back alive again, and everything is different. Her boyfriend, Rodin, like, you know, they were very close. And then he mourned her death for 200 years. And she was just like, well, is like, I still love you very much, but like, you've got a whole family, and you're like 200 years older than you were. And I don't, it's like, that's really weird. And it almost kind of is like, I can still see that you're the same person, but you feel like, it feels like you've changed so much in that time. What do we do about that? And it's just like, it's a weird thing that they have to learn to navigate. Because, like, he mourned her for, like, those 200 years. He never fully emotionally recovered. And now that he mysteriously has her back because of circumstances that he was not emotionally prepared for, he's just like, if I lose her again, I think that's game over for me. But at the same time, he just wants to, like, keep her behind glass and just, like, keep her safe so he never has to lose her again and doesn't have to go through the pain of losing her again. Meanwhile, Verity is still a person who does not want to be put in a glass case of emotion. She wants to go out. She wants to help people. She wants to, like, do the things that she aspired to do. But he's just like, but I don't want to lose you again. But she's like, well, I'm still a person and I still have my autonomy. And, like, I understand that you care very much about me. I care very much about you as well. But also you, like, adopted a child and gave her my last name because you were so sad about me dying. And that's weird to navigate. It's a lot of big feelings that the two of them are gonna have to work through. And figure out is like, is the relationship we had even still possible at this juncture? Because a lot of shit has changed, and now there is a fairly significant age gap, and it's like, what does our relationship even look like now? Because I don't know if we can just pretend like things are the way they were. And, Verity's mourning that because he was very important to her, and now he's suddenly, like, so different. And not just in age. He's changed a lot in the time that she was dead. Like, his sparkle is gone, basically. He spent 200 years being horribly depressed about not being able to save her. And that changes a guy, And so now she's just like, what the fuck do I do about this? Always love the character feels more like a fragile object in a gilded cage than a real person trope. Love seeing how they break out of it. That is, yeah, exactly. Is like, Rodin mourned Verity, but they only knew each other for maybe like 5 years before Verity died. And then he had 200 years after that to try and bring her back and fail and mourn the fact that he feels guilt over her death and all this other stuff. And there is part of me that's like, he probably, like, at this point, like, so much time has passed as he's kind of romanticized her in his head. And he's kind of maybe, a little bit lost sight of the person she actually was. And he's just so obsessed with this idea of her and who she was to him more than who she is as an actual person. And so after, like, dealing with these emotions for many, like, decades, she's suddenly back and he does not know how to handle it. And he just wants to keep her safe. And he's like, you are this precious thing to me. And Verity's like, I don't even know if you remember who I really was. I think you are, like, so trapped within remembering who you thought I was that you're kind of neglecting the person I actually am now that it's back in front of you. Because I feel like, so one of my things is I've always kind of been a little bit fascinated with parasocial relationships in just like how people can fall in love with the idea of a person rather than the actual person themselves. I feel like that's a very interesting thing that does happen in real life. And it's like a little bit morbidly fascinating to me as someone who does have an audience who I'm sure, like, has parasocial ideas of me, looks at y'all. But it's like, I am a fully independent human being with thoughts and feelings outside of what I choose to show you. And there's nothing you can do about that. You guys only see what I want you to see. But the fact that, like, people can fall so in love with the idea of a person, I've always found very interesting. And now I get to play with it. It's a new Lego in my toy box. Hee hee hee. That said, though, if this does end up actually happening in the story, the part of the story where Vesper, like, helps Verity run away, and they go out, they abscond, and they do just, like, technically grandma and granddaughter situation, but they're only, like, 4 years apart in age. Verity kind of mentally adopts Vesper as, like, a younger sister, even though, like, technically, if you include the time she was dead, Verity's, like, 25 years older than, or 225 years older than Vesper. Or, like, 205 years older than Vesper. But if you compared, like, lived experience, they're only, like, 4 or 5 years apart in age. And so when she meets Vesper, she's just kind of, like, mentally starts thinking of her as, like, a little sister. Even though, like, Vesper calls her grandma and, like, all this other stuff. And so if it ends up in the story that she and Vesper kind of run away together to go do shenaniganery adventures, that part of the story will be called Committing Crimes with Grandma. And that tickles me. That brings me so much joy, personally. I think that is funny. Verity is old enough to be, like, everyone's great-great-grandmother, yet is still, like, 25. Yeah, it's the Aang Avatar The Last Airbender problem, where it's, like, she spent a significant amount of time just, like, not aging mentally or physically. And so she's, like, technically older than a lot of these people, but she still has the mental fortitude of someone in her early 20s. Let's go commit crimes with grandma type of thing. And we love that for her. She's having fun with her granddaughter / little sister that she has adopted unwittingly. And Vesper? Oh, Vesper thinks that Verity is the fucking coolest. We've talked about this on a previous stream, but she just, like, her idol that she grew up just, like, idolizing is, like, right in front of her, and she's a real person, and that's the coolest shit imaginable. She's so fucking excited about it. I kinda wanna do a don't meet your heroes type of thing with that, though. I kinda wanna play with that and be like, you're not how the stories were. Maybe, like, they get in a fight or something at some point. And Vesper can be like, I thought you... It's like, but the Verity I know would do this. And then the real Verity can be like, the Verity you know is a character in a book written by someone, Cough Rodin, who is, like, very attached to a specific idea of me, but that's not who I actually am. And it's just kind of, like, breaks Vesper's heart a little bit. But it's a lesson she has to learn. It's, like, because she's got, like, this major parasocial relationship with Verity, and then suddenly she's, like, a person in her life, but she's different, and it's complicated, and yee! I love writing! I love characters! I love this shit so much! I'm having fun! This is me having fun. I'm playing with my Legos! I'm having fun. I am excited to, you know, like, eventually actually make these stories, like, a real thing, though. I know it's gonna take time. I know it's going to not be easy. And I'm so used to doing like serialized stuff that it is going to be very different. But I am very excited, and I want to have fun with it, and I hope that you guys enjoy what I eventually create and put out into the universe. She's got eyeliner. I know we already had the whole discussion of like, do it bad, do it scared, etc., and me not practicing what I preach very well. But I mean, there is part of me that's nervous just because I'm less familiar with doing like written stuff, that it's not going to be as good as my comic stuff is. And it's like, I'm fairly confident in being able to, you know, like put together a narrative, but I'm worried that because I haven't practiced as much with like prose and like actually writing, that it's not going to be as good as it would be if I just wrote everything out. But at this point, I'm kind of working on building up, we'll call it a support network of other folks who are like more experienced with writing. And I also have a lot of friends who are really into reading. And like, you know, of those friends, at least one or two of them have said, I want to read what you write. And so I, at the very least, have a lot of people who are going to be able to help me proofread this and like make it as good as it can possibly be. And so that is helping to ease my, my worries a little bit. Because, you know, I want it, I feel like this is relatable, is, you know, I'm making this thing and I'm mostly doing it for my own enjoyment, but I still want it to be good and I want people to like it. And so I feel like a good thing to do, if that is something that you are worried about, like how I'm worried about it, is to just like find people who will be real with you. People who are experienced in whatever medium you're trying to tackle. And like, be open with them and search out critique and, like, just be open to, like, receiving critique and then be, like, actionable in, like, you know, taking the critique and using it to make your work stronger. I feel like that's the important thing. Because I feel like a lot of people can get really defensive, when people criticize their works. And I've seen this a lot in a lot of like the book YouTube drama that I've been watching, because I watch a lot of videos. I've been watching a lot of like author drama videos on YouTube recently, just because the algorithm is recommending them to me now and I can just put them on in the background and not worry about it too much. But I feel like the big fault with a lot of people in creative like fields is the unwillingness to listen to or accept critique. And this is definitely not a problem that every person has, but I feel like it's a lot of, like, whenever you hear about, like, this could have been so good, but it wasn't, it's a lot of times, like, it's just an experience, and a lot of times it's, this person was given, like, good, actionable critique, and they just did not apply it or listen to it, and the work suffers as a whole because of that. I think a lot of people also just don't know how to give good critique and cut off mean, even if they don't mean to. Oh, absolutely. That is definitely also a big thing. More than just like finding any like beta reader, you have to find someone who kind of like gets what you're trying to do and isn't going to be a douchebag about recommending when you change things. Ideally, someone who is good at critique will like give you something that is good and actionable without being a douchebag about it. In general, if you receive critique from someone and it makes you feel like you don't want to continue working on the project because their critique made you feel like ass, they are not a good critiquer. That shines a light more on them than on you. It's like, you know, have confidence in your work, but also there is a difference between giving good, actionable critique and just being a douchebag because it's not, like, whatever you've made is not up to their, like, up to what they want, you know? It's very much, there's a lot of nuance here in this sort of thing. But, I mean, like I said, I went to that writing like critique workshop at a convention just like this past weekend, and I got a lot of good advice that I don't think I would have otherwise gotten. And it was extremely helpful, and now I know like some other ways I want to tackle some stuff. And it's like, okay, I do see what they're talking about. And as someone who is newer to prose, I want to get advice from people who are more experienced in that medium, because that's going to help me so much to see things that I might not have otherwise like caught, you know? Like, one of the things that they said, just for a little bit of context, I submitted like the first 1,000 words or so of the Laz short story. And one of the big critiques I got from that was that I wasn't using a whole lot of sensory language. Like, I was describing things, but I wasn't using a lot of like sensory language, and so people weren't able to like fully get immersed in it. And like, that's something I never would have considered because I'm newer at prose, but like now that I have that critique, it's like, oh, that's something I can keep an eye on, is using more like solid sensory language. That's a good piece of advice that I can apply to my future works. And so I think that going to that workshop was very beneficial. And I'm in the process of trying to find like an in-person writers group. I think that would be beneficial for me. But also now it's like I've got some friends who were potentially open to like proofreading stuff as I write it. And I'm stoked because it's like, yeah, I want to do a good job, and these are giving me tools that are going to help me do that better job, you know? I heard very recently, assume your readers are smarter than you, and if you think like that, it's humbling and maybe helpful. Oh, absolutely. This was actually something I learned in my first webcomic, was, I was, I don't know how I came to this conclusion, but I remember when I first started my first webcomic, you go back and you read that story, and it's very heavy on the upfront explanations of everything. Because I had somehow convinced myself that if people had questions about the story, it meant that I wasn't explaining it well enough and that I was doing a bad job. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I convinced myself of that. But as a result, I was like, I kind of over-explained like everything. And I not only over-explained it, I had to explain everything immediately because I wasn't trusting my readers to be able to figure things out on their own. Now, I've done a full 180 and I don't explain shit. It's like, listen, when I'm writing Cast Off, it's like, listen. You either figure out, you either pick up what I'm putting down or you just roll with it. It's like, listen, I'm not gonna tell you shit. You figure things out from context, and that's what you get from me. And I mean, do I think I'm a perfect writer? No. Do I think that sometimes some stuff in Cast Off is a little bit clumsy? Yeah. Like, if I could go back and rewrite it, I would definitely change things to maybe make things a little bit better explained, a little bit less clunky. There's some stuff where I was like, okay, this was a little bit of an awkward way to explain this concept, where I would like want to go back and potentially change it later. But I think it's fine for what it is, the way it is right now. But I just, whenever I think that I'm not explaining enough, whenever I think I'm over-explaining something, I look back on my old webcomic where it was just like everything got super explained in super intricate detail. I was just like, I was obsessed with making sure that my audience was on the exact same page as me at all times. And if they had questions, I was doing a bad job. And it was just like, woof. Woof, baby star. Anyway, I think we're done here. With Senna. I might do like a little bit of tweaking, because when I added those glowy layers, it made her skin a little lighter. Let's maybe... Oh no, honey bunches. Don't want to go too pink because that's kind of like... I feel like the overlay layer that I slapped on top of this is maybe a little too bright. Mm-hmm. Senna! Senna! She's neat. She's pretty. She's a kitty pretty. Yeah. But with... Actually, no, you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do real fast? Is I'm going to do the same thing I did with Cameron, and I'm going to add a little bit of bright glowies. Boop. I set that to add. Yes! It's kind of like a metallic fabric, I think is cool. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy, look at her. She's so heckin' cool. She's so heckin' cool. She's too cool for school. Let's go. Anyway, I think that is where we're going to go ahead and call it for the day. We finished like an hour early, gosh dang. But yes, if you have not already done so, make sure to get your Ariana plushies. They will only be available until next Monday. This coming Monday is the last day that you can order an Ariana plushie before she disappears forever. There is not a guarantee that she will ever be getting a rerun. So if you really want an Ariana plushie, you have to order one before she disappears. The link is in the pinned comment. It is also underneath the video. When are they shipping out? When Makeship is ready. There's an estimated shipping date on the webpage, but I'm going to defer to what Makeship says there because I have no control over that. My job is to design the character and give final approval on the design and then scream about it. That is my job. Everything else is in Makeship's hands. But again, if you guys want an Ariana plushie, you're only going to be able to get one for a couple of more days, and we're trying really hard to hit 400 orders because that will benefit me hugely, and I appreciate it super duper much. But until then, my friends, we are going to go ahead and call it a day. Thank you all for joining me. Next stream, I believe we'll probably be doing a game stream this weekend, so keep an eye out. Once I know what time I want to do that, I'm going to put up the waiting room, so just keep an eye on that. And then we'll probably do an art stream next Monday because I've got some stuff I need to work on. But aside from that, I will see you guys next time. Fare thee well, friends. Goodbye.